Hey guys, what's up? Here is the spoilers. The spoilers for Maneater, the shark movie that's headlined by Nicky Whelan. It stars Jeff Fahey and Trace Adkins, who's very good in this movie as well. I'm going to get to the spoilers right now, but before I get to the spoilers, I'm going to leave a link down below where you can actually rent and purchase Maneater for you could rent it for $6.99 or you could purchase it for $14.99 via the Amazon link. So if you haven't seen Maneater as of yet, if you're thinking of watching it, in my opinion, it's worth the $6.99. It's worth a rental. I don't know about an actual purchase at $14.99, but I thought it was. I think earlier in the week I thought it was $21 or $20, and I thought that would be just a complete no way on that unless it's in the theaters. But I believe it's worth a $7 rental, especially a couple things. Rent it if you really enjoy shark movies and if you've appreciated the works of Nicky Whelan or maybe, well, Jeff Fahey's not in this movie a lot, but I'll watch anything with Jeff Fahey in the supporting cast. I love my Jeff Fahey. But Trace Adkins, if you really like Trace Adkins a lot, he's in this prominently, okay? So that's just my little thing before, and then I'm just going to continue with the spoilers. You're going to get actually a couple of minutes with Nicky Whelan talking about the ending of Maneater. I'm going to go over the ending for Maneater right now. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop right now. Stop and just save this spoiler for posterity. If you don't give a crap about this movie and you want to hear what I thought about the ending, etc., I will go right now in 3, 2, 1. So one of the big things I really loved about Maneater was, even though Nicky Whelan is actually not the biggest star in this movie, the biggest star is Shane West. There's Shane West. There's also Trace Adkins. It's pretty big. And also back in the day, I still love him today, is the aforementioned Jeff Fahey. Now, that said, Nicky Whelan has the most screen time. She plays that girl who's heartbroken, and she brings all her friends to some kind of weekend island getaway to just hang out and just swim with the dolphins and go deep sea diving in some kind of island paradise. And what happens is all of them get pretty much killed by the shark. Pretty much all of them are killed by the shark. Okay. And what's really interesting is there's really no preamble. There is a slow burn setup a little bit. You get to really know her friends a little bit and their idiosyncrasies and their character flaws and why each of them are actually developed even for a few minutes in their own way. So when they actually die, you might, I actually felt a little bit of something. But what's interesting is the Justin Lee, the director, just does not waste time with the shark. Once the shark starts killing, all of her friends are dispatched within, I would say, even within a 5 to 10 minute span. Even Shane West. Shane West doesn't. You would think he would last longer just because of the name, but he's pretty dispatched. He's done with pretty soon. He gets chomped by the shark and he bleeds out right on the sand. Okay, and then all of her close girlfriends and a couple guy friends, they just go out and they get taken out by the shark. One of the guys, he's bleeding, I think either from his hand or something, and one of the boat captains, like there's a tourist guy who actually takes him to the island, and he says, hey, whatever you do, you have blood on your hand. I bandaged it. Do not go out and swim in the water. So what do you think? This guy who has a bandaged hand or whatever, I think it's a hand or arm, he goes out to swim in the water when he gets a chance to skinny dip with one of his girlfriends, and he's just not thinking. A lot of guys are like that. I don't think I'm like that. I don't think I'd be stupid enough to go out in the water with a bloodied hand or appendage or whatever and swim out into the ocean with a killer shark around there. So he's one of the several people who gets killed, and yeah, along with a girl who goes skinny dipping. But ultimately, it's a vehicle for Nicky Whelan and Trace Adkins because they are the only two survivors towards the end of the movie. Trace Adkins is one of the citizens, the denizens of the island, and like Trace Adkins, he's a big guy. He's pretty much the town badass in Maneater, and he ends up dispatching the shark at the end. But the only way he can dispatch the shark is if Nicky Whelan actually serves as bait for the shark. So you have a scene towards the end where Nicky Whelan is swimming as fast as she can towards the boat as bait while the shark comes at her. And then Trace Adkins, I think he has some kind of harpoon, and he just kills the shark that way. So that's the end of Maneater. And what you'll get right now is Nicky Whelan talking about how hard it was to actually swim in the ocean, even though she does swim as part of her workout regimen, and she is a lifelong swimmer. She's from Australia. It was a very tough going. It was a tough go for her to actually shoot that scene. And she talks about that end sequence, shooting that and trying to make it to the boat and swimming as fast as she can. And also, there's a part where she's actually under the boat, and that's a weird thing because she goes under the boat and her head could have been, who knows if that boat, her head could have hit the boat anytime. I'm sure the film people are very safe, but she expressed a little bit of caution as well, or just trepidation regarding her head being hurt. She's actually underwater under the boat during part of the sequence, along with the swimming. So she's tired, and who knows what could have happened. Thankfully, everyone is, in real life, she was saved. Nothing happened to her, but it was a very rough going. And she talks about that in the bite, in the sound bite, in the video bite. And she also talks about she talks about that, and she just talks about the end of Maneater. Okay, would love to hear. You know what? I don't know. Would love to hear what you guys think about this movie. Am I right that it's a fun it's a fun experience? Sorry for the voice crack. That it's a fun experience. Was it worth your $6.99? Or maybe you're going to see it. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Again, this spoiler is just for Patreon only, and I will try to do more of these things down the road. Okay, so this is Maneater, and that is the spoilerific stuff with Nicky Whelan. Is coming right now. Thanks, guys, for supporting me and Anderson on Patreon. Bye. Now I'm going to cut this off from the interview, okay? So I'm going to leave this for our Patreon listeners. I'm going to have them watch the movie, and we're going to talk about the ending.
Yeah.
I just really loved, your name could be Shane West, and you could die in a heartbeat. I love how you could be the love interest of your character, potentially, and that person is gone within seconds. Can you just talk about that whole element where really this shark movie doesn't give any Fs about the people that it kills? And I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you do watch those movies, you're like, huh? He just died? Wait, you just took him out? You just took her out? I mean, there's no prisoners in this. Trust me, when I read the script, I was like, I live, right? Like, I want to live. I want to survive this. Everybody else goes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this poor woman is traumatized. She loses her fiance, he leaves, and now she loses all her friends. Hence the fact she dives in the water and goes, let's go, shark, bring it on. I mean, completely unrealistic. But at that stage, she's like, let's go. You needed it to be that crazy for me to go, I'm going to take on a shark with Trace Atkins. You know what I mean? So it's like,
I mean, I'm 2'5", and with Trace Adkins at my side, I'm cool with it. But that said, you're the one who's doing the work. Was it a lot of physical exertion, just that final third act, which is amazing? So
it honestly, I'm a swimmer. I'm Australian. I grew up in the water. That kicked my ass. There's a wide shot that we do where I had to swim all the way across, and the shark is behind me. And I'm in the water. It's super choppy. I can't touch the ground. I'm exhausted. And I said to Justin, you got one shot with this. I can't. He goes, we'll set it up. Set this up so we only have to do it once. I said, I've only got one in me. And it was so hard. I'm swimming against the current, and I'm just like waves. I'm like, oh my God, the shark would have definitely eaten me in real life for sure. But I remember coming out of the water. Remember when you're a kid and you used to swim in the swimming pool and you'd get out and you'd be so hungry and tired? That's how I felt. I collapsed on the sand. I'm like, it's a wrap. It annihilated me. And the one where I go under the boat at the end and I push myself under, that wasn't easy. The boat's bouncing in the water. I can smack my head at any minute there. And I've got all these amazing lifeguards, local lifeguards around me and holding the boat in the waves and going under the water and coming out. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like, it really kicked my ass. We had sandbags on the bottom of the ocean floor trying to hold me up. I mean, it's kind of kicked my ass.